today I'm going to do something a little bit differently. I'm not going to do a review of any kind. After rewatching some of my videos, I've noticed that my reviews can seem kind of confusing to some people, and I've had people tell me that they don't know where my points are coming from or how I'm exactly doing my reviews. So I figured I probably should make a video to explain just how I'm reviewing my movies and kind of what my process is. There are so many people that do movie reviews here on YouTube, and a lot of people have their own ways of doing things. You know, some maybe give it letters, some give it, stars, numbers like a 4 out of 5. And so I just figured that maybe I should try to make something on my own to be a little bit different. So I'm kind of doing mine based off of a grading system, if you haven't already been able to tell, A through F, but I do have an A plus. So the way my grading is 0 to 59 points is an F, 60 to 69 is a D, 70 to 79 is a C, 80 to 89 is a B, 90 to 99 is an A, and then 100 to 110 being the max is an A plus. Those are for top of the line movies that I really love. So how do they get points? What are the different points for? What's the system? Well, I developed what I call the scales review system for movies, and this is something that I made up on my own. I didn't steal it from anybody. It's my own creation. So basically there are 5 standard categories and 1 bonus category, and like I said, there's a total of 110 points that a movie can earn. So the first category is story. Now I'm not going to go through each individual points thing, because I mean most people probably don't really care that much. I just kind of wanted to briefly break it down. So a movie can earn points based off the story, whether it's a terrible story, which would be like 0 points, or if it's a great story, which could be 35 points. Now, each category has 4 sets of points it can get. Just to kind of explain, I'll go ahead and say what all the points are for the story category, but the rest I'm not going to. So for story, if it's a great story and, not really complicated or convoluted and it makes sense, there's not really any confusion, then I'll give it 35 points. If the story is pretty good and there's maybe some minor complications and little to no confusion, it'll get 20 points. But now we start getting to the lower part of the spectrum. If the story is bland, maybe some ideas feel overused or reused, and if it's complicated and doesn't really flow well, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, then it only gets 5 points. But if the story is just completely awful, it doesn't make any sense, it's kind of jumping all over the place and not really very well thought out, then it just gets 0 points. Now, I don't take points away. I don't do any negative points for story. But, I mean, if the story's not good, it's just not going to get any points for that category. So the next category is what I call chops. So that's basically like the acting, the directing, kind of how it flows with the genre of the movie. And again, there's 4 different sets of points, anywhere from, if it's got great acting, great directing, all the way down to just terrible acting and bad filming style, camera angles and shots, things like that. Again, it's not a category that I take points away from. It's just from 0 up. And then the next category is accuracy. Now, this is a little bit trickier to do. It's easier to do for like books that are turned into movies, or maybe movies that are done from real life events or things like that. That's really where this category shines. So take, for instance, if it's a movie that's based off of a book, then of course if it's really accurate, sticks to the book pretty well, sticks to the source material, then yeah, it'll get the maximum amount of points. And then it just varying degrees all the way down to if it's hardly accurate at all, doesn't really make sense, not realistic in any way of any situation, then it can get 0 points. Now, again, this category is kind of tricky to use for certain things, because if it's like an original idea for a movie, there's really not much source material, then I kind of base it off of, well, if that event were to happen in real life, how realistic is that situation? Things like that. We've all seen movies where we're like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. Nobody would really do that. Situations like that. The next category is length, and I mean, self-explanatory. This is all judged on, if a movie is too long, too short, not very good pacing, the flow, all that. So this category can actually lose points, because I've sat through way too many movies that have felt way too long or too short or rushed or just terrible pacing. So this one can definitely lose points. 10 points is what it can lose. So this one goes from a minus 10 points up to a positive 10 points. And again, it just depends on the pacing and the length of the movie and how I feel that it is. The next category is ending. And like I've mentioned in a couple of videos, to me, an ending is very important. So this is also a category that can lose points because, like I've said before, if an ending is just botched and not very good, then yeah, I'm going to take points away from the overall total of the movie because that can take away from the feeling of the movie to me. So, but you know, if it's got a great ending, things are wrapped up nicely, then this will get a good amount of points. Now, those are the 5 main categories. My bonus category, which I know you guys have heard me mention before, was what I call shoehorn. And this is if there's anything in the movie that is unnecessary, that I feel shouldn't be in there, and that I feel that they just kind of threw in there just for the sake of throwing it in there. That's what this category is for. Now, it's a bonus category, but this can also take away from the points of the movie, because sometimes if there are things shoehorned into a movie, it can take away from the feeling of the movie or from, you know, your view of the movie. And so that's how I can take points from a movie. For example, I didn't review this movie, but The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, I would take points off for this category because I feel like the romance between Tauriel and Keely, I feel like that's shoehorned in the movie. I don't feel like it's necessary at all to the movie, and the fact that she's not even in the book at all. So that right there I feel is definitely negative, so it takes points away. But if a movie doesn't really have anything shoehorned in there that I feel, if it doesn't really have anything that seems unnecessary, then I'll give it 10 points for the fact of not having anything shoehorned. So that's my system: scales, story, chops, accuracy, length, ending, and shoehorn. And the reason why I'm doing this video is so that you guys aren't lost and that you can kind of understand how the movies are getting these points and how the points are racking up and what they mean and what they stand for. And plus, I think it's a good way to grade movies. So feel free to use this system for yourself if you want to review movies, in your spare time, or just whenever you're watching a movie. Maybe think about some of these things and then you can relate. So I hope this makes a little bit more sense and it doesn't seem like I'm just pulling numbers out of a hat anymore. So please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And again, share it with those who you think might be interested in seeing my reviews and hearing what I have to say. So I thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.